Hello, everyone, and welcome to Petite to Queen's Claim Your Career Crown podcast. I'm your host, Lynn, and today I am joined by a fabulous guest, Laura Stewart. So, Laura is the Director of Sales and Marketing for Canada's top real estate firm, REC. And her path to success was anything but typical, which is so great about having her on today's show. She has spent the last 15 years navigating her career, and she's had the opportunity to gain education and experience in a multitude of industries, which is amazing. And I love her story. So with a desire to pave her own future, Laura attained her real estate license, and by the age of 30 was really totally finally starting her career in sales. And she took and leveraged all of her prior experience and education so that she could facilitate the rebranding of the firm, systemize the sales process, and launched one of Canada's top business podcasts. So that's amazing. And Laura did all of this while aiding the sale of over $280 million in real estate. So, wow, congrats, Laura. And I'm so excited to have you on the show. And today we're going to be discussing how to woman up, which is a phrase you coined, to have a successful career in sales. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Lynn. I feel like this is the perfect fit, petite to queen. So I'm 5 feet tall, just so you know, and I'm currently sitting on a stack of books. So, I mean, nothing could be more poignant than the title of your podcast. So thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, well, Petite to Queen is actually the company name, which is fabulous, and then Claim Your Career Crown, sort of the riff on the Queen, right? And I'm just super excited. And for everyone who's joining us for the first time, hey, take that moment so that you don't miss a single episode and subscribe to Claim Your Career Crown wherever you get your podcasts. And hey, share the love and click all 5 stars. And we would certainly be very grateful. Thank you. Okay, Laura, I love that phrase, woman up. And, when I think about it, it means to encourage women and for fulfillment and happiness by owning their decisions and the trajectory. So how does this apply to women considering or pursuing a career in sales?
Yeah, well, I appreciate you saying I coined the term. I'm not sure if I really did. My team and I were kind of brainstorming about what I was really wanting to stand for and what I wanted my personal brand to stand for. And I just kind of said that phrase. I thought I was a genius at the time, but I've Googled it, and it does happen that a few people have used it before me, but I'll claim it for the purposes of today. Really, what woman up to me means is understanding that you are going to be uncomfortable. You're going to be uncomfortable in life, and you're very much so going to be uncomfortable in sales. I am not like a born bred salesperson. In fact, when I was younger, my mom would desperately try to get me just to order pizza for the family, and I wouldn't do it. I was so afraid of the phone. So how I ended up in sales is beyond me. But really, the term to me just means putting yourself outside of your comfort zone and getting up every day and doing something that you're fearful of anyway. And really what that usually means more often than not is to ask. I mean, it's such an easy concept, but just to ask for what you want out of life, whether it's asking for someone's business. I mean, that's awkward for a lot of people. And what I think a lot of salespeople forget is to just simply ask for the business at the end of a long listing pitch or something like that. No one ever asks. A lot of women also forget to ask for a raise. I've had to have a lot of uncomfortable conversations in my life, and you got to ask for that raise, or you got to ask for that promotion. Any job I've applied for, you ask, and continue to ask until someone really just tells you to screw off already. And so that would be my main tip. I know a lot of women, they feel like they don't want to badger people and bother people. We're kind of raised to be good girls who go with the flow. And there's obviously a good way, a tactical way to do it, but you gotta just ask. You gotta put out there what you want in life, and 9 times out of 10 you'd be surprised. People just don't know. You assume they know what you want, but they don't. So you gotta ask.
Yeah, no, I have a whole piece on don't ask, don't get. And it applies to everything in life and certainly in sales, right? And you do have to pick your spot. There is a point for there, but you also have to know Whether it's in sales or negotiating a pay raise, you need to know your deal points ahead of time. And you also need to know when to stop talking and use the powerful pause so that people can digest what you've said, process it, and respond. And a lot of times women can be very uncomfortable with that pause, that no talking. And it's just such an important, powerful tool to utilize. So I mean, wow, I'm just sort of like going, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm shaking my head too. You're right. Women, it's so often that we'll be in conversations with each other, talking over each other. We always, want to chime in with a similar story so we can all relate and feel comfortable. And what I found is that in dealing with men, sometimes less is more. And just make a statement and then leave it up to them. A lot of times when I've been negotiating, like with clients or with the people I work with, I always try to let them lead with the first offer if I can. Sometimes women, we have an advantage in a way because we can do it in like a bit of a cutesy way too, right? And I'm not saying you be cutesy if you're not cutesy, but if you have that going for you, use that to your strength and kind of be like, oh, I don't know, what do you think? And they might not even realize that you're trying to get them to throw a number on the table first, allowing you to understand, okay, now this is where we're going to start negotiating. Whoever speaks first usually is the one who, quote unquote, loses. I like to think that in negotiations, we can all be winners, really, at the end of the day, as long as we truly listen and try and find out what it is the other person's looking for. But again, you're bang on. A perfect pause is genius.
Yeah, no, and truly in sales, if you are not creating a win-win, mutually beneficial negotiation and final, whatever it is, contract or order, whatever it happens to be, you actually will end up planting a bitter seed um, for the client, because then and that can fester and grow, and you just don't ever want to go there. So, and that's the same thing about negotiating other things, in work. And that's why leadership is, you get so much from sales training for leadership, so that women can really stand in their own power or woman up in their careers. And I know that you've been so tremendously successful in sales, which is kudos, kudos, kudos. Yet
Thank
your
you.
path covered many opportunities and education and experience, and in so many different types of industries. So how have you been able to sort of take this pot that's, mix it all together and leverage these facets to foster stronger relationships?
Yeah, it kind of brings me back to my first point when I said that I didn't grow up in sales. I work with somebody who has been selling since he was 10. I was not that kind of kid. I certainly was not going around thinking how I can make a dollar. I was really just enjoying myself and dabbling in a lot of different things. And when I speak to anybody, my background gives me a lot of different ways I can connect with them, which I think is so fascinating. So I always consider myself, look, I understand a lot of people nowadays, the riches are in the niches, and double down on your strengths. I only can speak to what I know. And that was the fact that I am really a jack of all trades. There's hardly any industry or business that I haven't dabbled in, or I went to school for sciences. I grew up going to drama school and drama class. I love sports. Then I went and did my MBA. I have a certificate in retail buying. I worked in the luxury department store segment. I worked at car dealerships, and now I'm here in real estate. And at one point in my 20s, I'm sure my family and my friends were just like putting their hands up, like, what is she doing? This is going to look so bad on a resume. And yeah, it probably doesn't look great because it's like, this girl has zero focus. But I have taken something out of every single segment I've been a part of and really combined it to use that as my strength. The fact that I can have a lot of different types of conversations with a lot of different people has allowed me to foster relationships, a lot of relationships, which have ended up in sales. And I think where people forget is people want to do business with people they like, right?
Yeah.
And so the more I've been authentically myself and the more I've explained what my background is to people, to say, oh, my daughter is in university going to school for the same thing, or oh, back when I was a kid, I had a golden retriever. Well, before you know it, we'll be talking about my love affair with dogs. And so I really think just using whatever past you have, whatever your past is, you can't change that. using that to your strength. And if it's wishy-washy and change, good for you. Because I say that what that really means is you have the guts to change, to make changes and decisions in your life to make your life better and to make yourself happier. If I had stuck with the science path, I mean, I don't feel I would feel fulfilled because it just wasn't the right path for me. And whatever circumstance was happening in my life at that time, that's the choice I made. But I can unmake those changes. So never feel like you're trapped in any type of career or situation.
Absolutely. We have the power to choose, and that includes choosing a new path and making a new decision. And that is such an important thing to remind ourselves every day, you know. So, and you're right. Some people could actually look at it, wow, she's tried a number of things to find her, you know, where you know, she really could be fulfilled and be passionate. And I know that for me, sales was not something that I certainly thought that I'd be doing after graduate school. But it fell right into my core value set of helping others and being of service. And
That's
so it was like a natural fit for me to go into sales. And it allowed me, that sales journey allowed me to climb the corporate ladder, to move into the C-suite, all of the things that you need, everything you need to be a great leader. I truly believe you learn through sales. And so, talking about this journey, this sales journey and the process from awareness to consideration to decision to nurture. What lessons can you share about the sales process for our audience?
Yeah, I think the sales process really starts with education. That's really a great place to start because specifically when you're new to sales and you don't know the industry that well yourself, what I think is great is teaming up with other people who might know that industry better than you do. I joined a team myself, and what I gained was my learning curve being cut in like half. You know what I mean? Versus trying to learn everything on my own. So that's my number one tip. And then obviously through that education of yourself, you can therefore start educating other people. I'm not big on like the fake it till you make it. I say put yourself out there and tell people I'm new, but this is what we, the collective we being my team, are doing. This is what we've learned through 25 years of experience. We have a book actually here. It's right behind me that we give to everybody. We don't have business cards. We use this as our business card. It's a book that I helped write actually over the last 6 years with my team. And we give that to people. We teach people how to buy, sell, and invest in their own home themselves. So they don't even need a real estate agent. And I got to tell you, people around our office are like, this doesn't make any sense. Why would you give away all the trade secrets? And honestly, like, are there really any trade secrets anymore? Like, people have Google. They can Google how to do anything themselves. And this, what the stats will tell you is that only 1% of the population is going to sell their house on their own anyway. So great. They're going to do that on their own. They'll figure it out on their own. But the key here is that by me giving the education away, people will come back to me because they're like, I don't really have the time to do this or the expertise. And so they're going to come back to the person who gave the education. And I think that's really how you start that relationship with people and understand that they might not buy right away. So you might waste a conversation. And I say waste like this because it's not a waste. You might have a conversation for half an hour with somebody and they don't buy, right? And everyone say, oh man, what a waste of time. It's not a waste of time. As long as you continue to follow up, you continue to educate through webinars, books, videos that you post online. You continue to educate and foster that relationship over time. 9 times out of 10, that person will come back to you at some point, and then the sale's easy, right? Because then they just say they already know they want to use you, and you don't have to pitch yourself again and again.
Yeah.
That's the key, I think, education.
Yeah, I mean, and to phrase it another way, it's like you're delivering value. You're give, you know, give, and you're and it from your point with the DIY, you know, so there's the DIYers out there, but there's so many people that don't really understand what it would take for them to be a DIYer. And when they start to look into it, and first of all, there's like, wow, I'm so glad that they've walked me through the whole process. I have a better understanding of this, but I also recognize I don't want to deal with this. And to your point, I'm not an expert. I don't have the time, or I, I want someone else to handle it for me, because then it's just something off my plate. Maybe I do have the time, but do I want to spend my time doing this, or do I want to spend my time walking my golden retriever?
Exactly the point. And they're gonna come back to you because they were like, oh, I've been watching the amount of times I've been watching your videos over the course of the last 2 years. I didn't need to sell my house before, but given this pandemic, I have to sell my house now. And it's like, you never know how you're going to connect with people. So whether it's a phone call or a book or doing a webinar or posting something on social media, understand that it's not about the likes, and not even really the comments either. It's about understanding that people are watching, and they don't always like, and they don't always comment, but they're watching, and they will remember that you gave them value at some point. And quite frankly, that to me makes me feel good about sales. Like, I always kind of looked at real estate agents like as pretty sleazy people. The profession itself is not well respected. And so for me, it's kind of like, if I'm doing this and I'm providing value, I feel like I'm helping the industry, which makes me feel a lot better. And I don't consider myself a salesperson at all. I help people build wealth in real estate. That's really how I view it. And not to knock anyone else's business, but quite frankly, I like working with people who I've developed these long relationships, and I'd rather just have them refer me within the same circle than be doing all these Google AdWords and spending money on strangers, right? It just doesn't feel good. It becomes my little family.
Yeah, absolutely. Reaching that point where your clients become your champions is so important, and it does, and it creates this really great ecosystem where you're no longer doing outreach, everything's coming inbound. And it's because you have been genuine, and you've demonstrated your worthy intent to help and others and be interested in them, and to deliver value every time you connect with them. And that you're not coming after them to, I want. Instead, it's give. So that, which is great. So I think the other thing about this, which when you follow this philosophy, when you're working through those sales processes, every step of the way, if you do the heavy lifting, and you make it easy for your clients to work with you or work through your sales implementation, that's why you can get to that yes. And it could be a longer term because they're not ready to sell their home in your case. For me, they're not ready to purchase or invest in a training program. But, when you've done that, and then they either have somebody come up that needs that product or service, or that they themselves are in that place, you're the top of mind. And it's like, wow, she's never asked, she's always given. And I've gotten so much value from this, and this education. So, I mean, how do you feel about that heavy lifting?
Well, our mantra here at the company I work with is really to remove the friction in our clients' lives. We like to make it easy for people to buy, which makes it difficult for me because I'm usually the one dealing with a lot of the concerns and the ones that's trying to make it easy for people to buy. And that can mean a lot of different things. I think far too often salespeople put up restrictions, right? Yeah. So it's they tell the client has to meet them somewhere, or the client has to provide the check by a certain date to their office, or the client, as soon as the deal's done, they kind of leave the client to sink or swim on their own, never to be talked to again. It's like, ooh, I'm glad I got that one deal. Where we kind of view it as every opportunity is an opportunity to foster that relationship a little bit further, and hope and ask, as I mentioned earlier, and ask to be referred to people. We don't use the term refer. It's who do you know, who is the next person that's thinking about buying, selling, or investing, or do you know somebody who might be interested in this information? We'd love to pass them on the book. And so really it's my job here on the team to just make the process as easy as possible. So I am available pretty much 24/7. I'm always answering questions any time of the day because that's what's convenient for the client. Sucks for my husband a little bit sometimes because I'm always answering emails and text messages at home. But I mean, I really value the business that I'm working on. I really value my clients' time. We will go to their house and pick up checks for them and drop them off at the sales center, where the majority of people would say you need to get those delivered on your own. We'll even have it paid if we got to get it couriered. Troubleshooting. I mean, we throw a lot of money at troubleshooting. We hate when there are problems, but understand that there's going to be problems. And so money tends to fix a lot of problems, right? I think people look too narrow at the deal itself and say, oh, well, I'm only going to make $1,000 on that deal. So for me to spend $400 fixing it, once you take into consider taxes and everything, I'm coming out with nothing. Yeah, you might come out with nothing on one deal. Maybe you're even in the negative. But the idea is that you left the client feeling so good. And to your point, that they think of you the next time someone says, I'm thinking about buying or selling XYZ, and then they'll come back to you. So you'll win in the long term, but you need to have that patience.
Yeah, no, and actually you win in the short term as well, because you never want to create a situation where the client you've planted that bitter seed, which can then fester and foster, because someone's going to tell 10 people about a bad experience, whereas someone who had a phenomenal experience may tell no one. Right? I mean, that's the whole, and you really need to think about that philosophy, that one person that, you were, I'm sorry, too stingy to make it work for them, is going to end up, could really poison your own well in a pretty quick manner. And so you want to really watch that whole thing. And I think what the heavy lifting is, you're doing those things that make it easy to do business with you. And once again, that's building up this whole level of gratitude and reciprocity, because the customer knows that you went the extra mile and you made it so easy for them, that it was like the next time they do need to refer somebody, it's so easy. Man, they made it so easy on me. Every step of the way, I didn't have to worry about this. I didn't have to think about this. They went above and beyond. I mean, that's the type of, introduction that everyone wants.
Yeah, I mean, it's say that there won't be problems. We always let people know, look, there's going to be turbulence along the way. It's rare that it's a turbulent free ride. But even providing your clients with incentives for the future, so for us, real estate, if someone's buying pre-construction, for example, which we do a fair amount of here, we'll say that once the building's built, we will place the tenant for you, and we will manage the property for you at no cost for a certain period of time. And that lets the client know that, okay, that's 4 years from now. So that means you're going to be around for 6 more years. And it's like, yeah, we're going to be around for at least 6 more years to help you with this. We're not going anywhere. So it doesn't, then, you establish that sense of trust, because it doesn't do us any good to sell them something they don't need or that we can't place a tenant for. They understand that, okay, so they have skin in the game too. And we're going to be there whenever you need us at the end. We also have a concierge services division on our team, where if you need a plumber, you need a painter, call us. We will, no matter where in the country, we will find you somebody in your area. We'll vet them ahead of time, give you their contact information, so that even if we're not actually doing the property management for you, we really just do our absolute best to make it super, super simple. And the key here is they're calling us. I'm not always making that outbound call. They're calling me when they need a plumber. And what can I do once I get them on the phone? Hey, how, do you, again, ask, right? Like, do you know of somebody who's interested in buying, selling, or investing, right? Because they're calling me. And so it just makes this perfect circular relationship.
Yeah. And so, I mean, we've already gone there, which was my next question, was to talk about after the sale. And so, you've already shared a whole lot, but what are your key takeaways to add value and establish a long-term bond with clients? And I know you already sort of covered this, but one key takeaway, what would it be?
Oh man, make it fun. Like, make after the transaction fun. That might be a gift for no reason. The amount of times we'll find out through the grapevine that our client, or like on social media, that they had a baby, they got a dog, or it's an anniversary. We always keep our ears open for those little things. We were speaking with somebody on the weekend, found out he's a huge Super Bowl fan. We had like a couple pounds of chicken wings and French fries and food delivered to his house. not because he bought anything. Not right. This is after the deal is done. So I'm not incentivized to do it anymore for this person. But you keep your ears open for these little pieces of information, and then you give gifts. And it feels good to give gifts. So that's the first thing that's great about it. And then the second thing is, again, now they'll never forget that. Plus, they're probably going to take a picture of the gift you gave. They'll post it on social media, and it becomes, it's selling ourselves really, but through other people, right? It's a great testimonial.
Yeah, yeah, and it is. And even in the corporate world, you can refine that in a different way. It doesn't have to be, because there you really have to be very cognizant when you're doing B2B, that the cost of the gift, right? But there's so many things. I had a client I discovered through conversation that she loved ladybugs. And you would be amazed at, I mean, I could find her ladybug push pins, and I would just put them in a box, but I'd wrap it really pretty. I mean, I'd make it like this, like opening an Apple package, but I'd make it, because this was also for a woman. For men, you still want to pay attention to that. But regardless, and then I would send it to her, and then she'd get this out of the blue, these really cool push pins that cost me $2, but they meant it meant so much to her that I remembered the push pins. That was something she could use. But I would just sort of, for all my clients, just sort of keep my eye out. I have a client currently who loves The Mandalorian, and I discovered there's Mandalorian tea by Republic of Tea. So I packaged up the Mandalorian tea and had it sent to him. And I, had it come to me so I could package it, because that's the thing. I want people to have an experience of opening it. It's like I took the time to do that instead of just shipping it direct through Amazon, And so those are some other ideas, because it can be something that's not expensive, especially, for the corporate accounts. And not that the wings were hugely expensive, but obviously for a business, if you do it for the whole team, usually that's okay.
Yeah, as long as it's thoughtful, right? Like a lot of times people think, okay, well, when someone closes on the house, give them a bottle of champagne. That's a great gift. But what if your client doesn't drink? Like, you should probably get to know your client along the way to understand that they don't drink, and that would be not a very thoughtful gift at the end of the day, right? So just always be asking them questions. Don't even talk about the thing that you're selling. I rarely talk about real estate. We laugh at my company because everyone's like, you're the worst real estate agent. And I am. I don't like talking about it. I don't like talking about stats and all this stuff. I like talking about stuff that I'm passionate about and stuff that my clients are passionate about. And that to me is the most fun part of it.
Yeah, yeah, it is. So, I mean, what a great conversation. What would be your final piece of advice? Because let's go back to the beginning of our topic. For women who are seeking to empower themselves and to follow their dreams and never settle.
My piece of advice would be, there's going to be times, ladies, where you're going to be underestimated. And I think, we're living in a good time, certainly better than it used to be, where, women are in C-suite positions and moving and creating their own companies and having their voices heard. But there's still going to be, you're going to run into those times where your opinion seems to fall on deaf ears and people will feel that you can't do something. I think you should turn that into a strength. I'm underestimated all the time. My whole life I've been underestimated. Again, I'm 5 feet tall. I was the youngest. I'm born in December, so I was always like the smallest little kid. And I just was like, I'm going to use this to my advantage. No one thinks I'm going to win anything. No one thinks I'm smart enough. I got the dumb blonde jokes how many times in my life? Great. Think I'm stupid. I'm going to show you. And so I think, ladies, you are underestimated at times. Use that to your advantage, but you need to look yourself in the mirror every single day. You need to woman up, and you need to look yourself in the mirror and say, as long as I believe it, I know I can achieve it. Oh, that rhymed.
Yeah, that's great. All right, quick, we better record that one because that's great. I love it. Wow. As long as you can believe it, you can achieve it. And I also I use that for affirmations for myself. So if you do have something that you're sort of stumbling over, I write it out in a positive way as an affirmation, and then I say it to myself every morning out loud as soon as I get up, because then it frames my day in a positive, and it helps me reset my mind and my thinking. And for me, I can adopt affirmations really quickly. They just become like beliefs. But for some people, it takes 20 or 30 days, but it's so powerful. And remember, don't you don't eat the meal in one giant bite. You eat it portion, you
One
cut
bite
up
at
your
a time.
steak one bite at a time, right? And so always remember that. So if you've got a big goal, well, how can you break it down? And and what's logical, and then start at that first one, and then I believe in myself, but it's not just I believe, but it's like, how can you turn that into, I can learn this. This is a skill I can acquire, and this is, and then you say that every morning, and pretty soon you discover, like for myself, that I could do these video um, uh, presentations like this of just ad lib, which I was completely not used to. And I can do this. And yeah, I'm never going to be some kind of superstar, but I can do it well. And it's genuine and authentic. And I make those connections with the people who are watching or listening. So every step of the way, that's just an example for me, but use those affirmations. And I love
Well,
that.
I think you have everything it takes to be a superstar. So there you go. We all start, everyone starts somewhere. Everyone's scared. I was scared the first time I started recording anything on camera. Still to this day, I get nervous. Quite frankly, I think if you don't get nervous, there's probably something wrong, a bit wrong with you. Anyway, push yourself, ladies, push yourself outside that comfort zone. Everything good is just outside that comfort zone.
Yep, yep. I always say that the unknown is where everything you don't have lives.
Love it.
Oh, wow. Laura, thank you so much for sharing your experiences on how to woman up and have a successful career in sales. This has been such a fabulous, fabulous conversation. We could go on, but I know our listeners want to know how and where they can find out more about you.
Yeah, Lynn, again, thank you so much for having me. I've had such a blast with you, and you're right, we could talk for hours, I'm sure. But for anyone who wants to connect with me, probably the easiest way is through Instagram. My handle is at Laura Stewart, TOLAURASTEWARTTO, because I'm from Toronto.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And we'll provide the link for your Instagram handle, along with your blog on Medium, and of course the website for REC. All of that will be in our post notes. So just scroll down and you can get all that. And we should do this again. We should plan to do this a few months down, post COVID.
I'm in.
If we ever get there, right? Because this has been such a great discussion. And for everyone out there, if you have an idea that you would like to share or a comment, you can leave that below. We love hearing from you. And if you do have a question or would like to suggest a topic for conversation, you can email us at jointheconversation@petitetoqueen.com. And to stay current with all of our insightful advice, our breakthrough advantages, and the amazing resources that we have, you can sign up for our weekly Wisdoms newsletter at petitetoqueen.com. Thank you for listening, Laura. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.